Welcome back to Talk Tickers, your shortcut to earnings call insights. Ready to dive into some sweet financials.
Always.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into Krispy Kreme's Q4 2024 performance. Their goal has been bigger and better, but did they hit the mark?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. We've got a cybersecurity incident in December, a viral Grinch marketing campaign, and that nationwide expansion with partners like McDonald. So there's a lot to unpack.
Okay, so lots to dig into. But first, let's get the headline numbers. How did Krispy Kreme actually perform this quarter?
They actually delivered their 18th consecutive quarter of organic sales growth, which, is impressive considering they had that cybersecurity incident in December.
Wow, 18 quarters in a row. That's quite the streak.
It is. However, while the revenue increased, profitability did take a bit of a hit.
So not all sunshine and sprinkles then?
Not entirely, no. Their net revenue reached $404 million, with organic revenue growth at 1.8%. But adjusted EBITDA was down year over year, landing at $35.9 million. That resulted in an adjusted EBITDA margin of 11.4%.
Okay, so let's unpack that cybersecurity incident a bit. Just how much of an impact did it actually have on their business?
It was a pretty significant disruption to their operations. Think online ordering, materials replenishment, even labor planning were all affected.
Wow, so really the whole 9 yards.
Pretty much. It's estimated that it hit their revenue by about $11 million and caused a $10 million reduction in their adjusted EBITDA.
Ouch. That's a big hit.
It is.
Are they back on track now, though?
Yeah, as of the earnings call, they said their systems are operational again, and they do have insurance, so they expect that to offset at least some of the costs.
Okay, good. Good to hear. Now, Krispy Kreme has been talking about really focusing on their original glazed donut. What's the strategy there?
It seems like they're really recognizing the power of their most iconic product, especially now with consumers being so value conscious.
So fewer fancy flavors, more back to basics.
Well, not entirely. I think they'll still offer, those limited time specialty donuts. But there's definitely a shift in emphasis. We'll probably see more everyday deals and savings on, say, multi-dozen purchases of the original glaze.
Interesting.
Fewer discount days overall. But when they do offer discounts, they'll be bigger, especially on key days, National Donut Day, that sort of thing.
I see. So it's kind of like finding a balance. Exciting new offerings while still providing reliable value on the classic.
Exactly.
Clever. And speaking of reaching a wider audience, let's talk about their expansion efforts with national partners. Because their strategy seems to be working. Globally, their points of access have increased by an impressive 24%.
Yeah, it really is impressive.
So who are these partners we're talking about?
Well, they've got some big names on board. We're talking McDonald's, Kroger, Publix, Target, Costco. The McDonald's partnership in particular is a big deal.
Yeah, I remember hearing some buzz about that. What's the latest on that front?
Well, it actually launched the same day as the earnings call. So Krispy Kreme donuts are officially available in 500 McDonald's locations in the New York City area.
Wow, that's huge. What are the future plans for this partnership?
Big rollout. They want to be in 6,000 McDonald's by the end of 2025. And they're already looking ahead to 12,000 by the end of 2026.
So really going all in.
Yeah, and this deal has opened up other doors too, like the partnership with Costco kind of came out of this.
Interesting. Sounds like they're on a roll then. But what about internationally? Because I know there was some talk about them refranchising.
Right, they are currently evaluating the refranchising of certain international markets.
So are they pulling back from expanding internationally?
I don't think so necessarily. It seems like they're wanting to focus resources on the U.S. market and maybe adopt, a more capital-light model for international growth.
Okay, so maybe more strategic partnerships like we've been talking about.
Exactly. They haven't made any final decisions yet, but they're definitely looking at their options carefully.
Makes sense. Prioritize your strongest market, but keep an eye on global growth. Now, there was also mention of strengthening their performance-based culture. What does that actually entail?
Well, they're investing in their employees and really trying to foster that results-oriented culture that includes introducing incentive-based compensation, things like customer satisfaction, material efficiency, those sorts of metrics.
So not just focused on expansion, but also on internal improvements and, creating a better work environment for their employees.
Exactly. Becoming better, not just bigger, like they said.
I like that. All right, well, all of this must factor into their outlook for 2025. What kind of performance are they expecting?
They are projecting continued growth, but they're also acknowledging some potential headwinds. The lingering impact of that cybersecurity incident, continued pressure on consumers, the startup costs for all this U.S. expansion.
So, cautious optimism. Understandable.
Right. And they did give specific financial guidance. They're projecting net revenue between $1.55 billion and $1.65 billion, with organic revenue growth in the 5% to 7% range. Adjusted EBITDA, they expect to be between $180 million and $200 million. And adjusted earnings per share, they're anticipating to be between 0.4 and 0.4 and
Okay, some solid numbers there, but like you said, definitely some challenges to navigate. Now, let's get to my favorite part, the analyst Q&A.
Oh.
What were some of the key questions and insights that came up there?
Well, the analysts were really interested in how Krispy Kreme is optimizing its DFD network. That's delivered fresh daily, by the way. And that includes, the potential closure of some less profitable locations. As they expand with those larger partners, like we talked about, they also dove into the J-curve of demand they're seeing with the McDonald's rollout. And of course, everybody wanted more details on that cybersecurity incident.
Okay, so lots to unpack there. Let's start with this delivered fresh daily network. What does that actually mean?
So basically, it's how they get their donuts from, the production facilities to all those different points of sale. And they're trying to make that process as efficient as possible, particularly now with all these partnerships with bigger retailers.
So potentially closing some of those smaller, less profitable standalone stores and really focusing on these high volume partnerships.
Exactly. It's all about maximizing efficiency, and reaching a wider customer base through those high traffic locations.
Makes sense. Now, what about this J-curve they mentioned? What does that refer to in this context?
Oh, that's just a way to describe the typical pattern of consumer demand when there's something new, like a new product or service. There's that initial surge of excitement, high demand, then it dips as the novelty wears off a little, and then eventually things kind of stabilize at a more sustainable level.
So they're seeing that initial spike with the McDonald's launch, but they're anticipating that it'll level off over time.
Yeah, they're aware of the pattern, and they're already thinking about strategies to maintain that momentum, drive demand even after that initial hype dies down a bit.
Makes sense. What else were the analysts curious about?
Well, they also really wanted to get into the specifics of the cybersecurity incident, how it happened, what measures they're taking to prevent something like that from happening again, how they plan to mitigate the financial impact.
Cybersecurity is such a big issue these days. Transparency is so important for maintaining consumer trust.
Absolutely. And they did emphasize their commitment to strengthening their defenses and ensuring the safety of customer data.
Good. Good to hear. Okay, I think we've covered all the key details of Krispy Kreme's Q4 2024 earnings call. Their financials, the cybersecurity incident, product strategy, all those expansion efforts, their focus on internal improvements.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to touch on before we move on to our This Is Not Financial Advice segment?
Oh, one more thing. The analysts also really pressed them on their decision to focus their marketing on the original Glazed.
Ah, right. Back to basics. What was their reasoning there?
Well, they highlighted a few factors. The affordability of the original Glazed, the fact that it appeals to a really broad demographic, and of course, its strong profit margin.
It's a classic for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They seem pretty confident in its lasting popularity, and its ability to drive growth.
I think we've covered all the bases then.
I think so.
All right. Well, now it's time for the fun part.
The favorite part, where we get to speculate wildly.
Disclaimer. This is purely for entertainment purposes. Please don't make any investment decisions based on our crazy theories here.
Of course, of course. So what's your outrageous but plausible trade idea based on all this? Okay. How about this? If Krispy Kreme can manage all these challenges, the cybersecurity thing, ingredient costs and all that, I think they could actually become the go-to snack for, space tourism.
Whoa. Krispy Kreme in space. Now that's a prediction.
Think about it. Zero-gravity donuts. The marketing potential is huge.
I can just picture those astronauts doing flips with a glazed donut floating around.
Exactly. Pure marketing gold. And who wouldn't want a little taste of home while exploring the cosmos? It'd be like the ultimate comfort food for space travelers.
I love it. Listeners, what do you think? What are your outrageous Krispy Kreme predictions? Hit us up on social media. Maybe we'll even partner with Elon Musk, deliver donuts to Mars.
Haha. Now that would be something. But remember, this is all just for fun, folks. Definitely not financial advice. You got to do your own research before making any investment decisions.
Always, always. We just want to have some fun with these calls. Okay, so back to Krispy Kreme's goals for 2024. Bigger and better. Right.
Right.
Well, they've certainly nailed the bigger part.
Oh, absolutely. 24% growth in points of access is hard to ignore.
Yeah, over 2,800 new locations added in the U.S. alone. And those partnerships with McDonald's, Kroger, Target, now Costco too.
It's incredible how ubiquitous they're becoming. I mean, they're making it so easy to grab a donut wherever you go.
True. But bigger isn't the whole story. What about better? How are they doing on that front?
Well, that's where their focus on strengthening their performance-based culture comes in. Investing in their employees, fostering that culture of excellence. It's about building a solid foundation for long-term success.
It's great to see a company prioritize their employees like that. Happy employees often mean happy customers.
Absolutely. And their commitment to being better goes beyond that. They're also looking at environmental and social responsibility, using sustainable ingredients, minimizing waste, supporting local communities.
Yeah, that's definitely something consumers care about these days. Okay, so bigger and better, check and check. But how did that translate to their actual financials in Q4?
So their revenue was pretty impressive. They reached $404 million for the quarter.
Not bad at all, so especially considering that cybersecurity hiccup. But what about profitability?
So their adjusted EBITDA came in at $45.9 million, which, with a margin of 11.4%, it's still pretty respectable.
Yeah, definitely. So some hurdles, but overall, a decent performance. Now let's talk about that cybersecurity incident a bit more. It sounds like it was a real headache for them.
It was. It affected their online ordering, their ability to get ingredients, even their staffing plans. I mean, imagine trying to run a donut empire without donuts.
A logistical nightmare. Did they say how much it actually cost them?
They estimated around $11 million in lost revenue and another $10 million hit to their adjusted EBITDA.
Ouch.
Yeah. But luckily, they have insurance that should cover some of those losses.
That's good. Now, their decision to sell off Insomnia cookies. That surprised a lot of people. What was the thinking behind that?
It seems like they want to really focus on what they do best, which is donuts. Streamline their operations, dedicate all their resources to growing the Krispy Kreme brand.
Makes sense. Now let's talk about something a little more exciting, the McDonald's partnership. This one's a game changer.
Absolutely. Remember, they announced that Krispy Kreme donuts are now available in 500 McDonald's in New York City.
Can you imagine grabbing a McMuffin and a hot, fresh Krispy Kreme donut?
It's a dream come true for breakfast lovers. And the best part, they plan to be in 6,000 McDonald's by the end of next year and 12,000 by the end of 2026.
Wow. This partnership could really introduce Krispy Kreme to a whole new generation of customers.
No doubt. And don't forget their other partnerships. Kroger, Publix, Target, Costco.
Yeah, it's all about making those donuts easily accessible no matter where you shop.
Exactly. Capitalizing on impulse purchases. Who can resist a Krispy Kreme donut while grocery shopping?
Not me. Okay, let's shift gears for a second and talk about their international strategy. They mentioned refranchising, right? Does that mean they're retreating from overseas markets?
Not necessarily. It's more about reevaluating their approach. They want to prioritize the U.S., which is their biggest market, but still explore ways to grow internationally.
So maybe more partnerships, like we talked about.
Exactly. It's a smarter way to manage growth, especially in a complex global market.
Now, I'm curious about their decision to really focus on the original glazed donut. I mean, there are so many other flavors and varieties out there. Why go back to basics?
Well, sometimes the simplest things are the best. The original glazed is iconic, it's nostalgic, it appeals to everyone, and it's super profitable.
Yeah, there's something about that warm, melt-in-your-mouth goodness.
Exactly. It's pure comfort food. And as they expand into new markets, the original glazed is the perfect introduction to the brand.
It's a smart strategy. But let's not forget their internal improvements. They're really trying to strengthen their performance-based culture, right?
That's all right. They're investing in their employees, creating incentives, and fostering a positive work environment. It's all about empowering their team to excel.
It's great to see a company put so much emphasis on their employees. It makes a big difference. Now, let's not forget about that cybersecurity incident. How are they addressing that and making sure it doesn't happen again?
So during the call, they reassured everyone that their systems are up and running. They're strengthening their defenses and protecting customer data. They know how important cybersecurity is these days.
That's good to hear. All right. I think we've covered all the sweet details of Krispy Kreme's Q4 2024 earnings call. Now, it's time for everyone's favorite segment. This is not financial advice.
Ah, yes. The moment we've all been waiting for.
Just a reminder, this is purely for fun. Don't make any investment decisions based on our wild ideas here.
Of course not. So let's have some fun. What's your outrageous but plausible trade idea based on all this Krispy Kreme news?
Okay, let me think.
Hmm.
Given their expansion plans, their focus on the original Glazed, and their commitment to a strong work culture, I'm going to say that Krispy Kreme will become the official donut supplier of the Olympics by 2032.
Now that's a bold prediction. But hey, stranger things have happened. Imagine Olympic athletes fueling up on Krispy Kreme donuts.
It would be a global sensation.
And think of the limited edition Olympic donuts they could create. The possibilities are endless. And think of the limited edition Olympic donuts they could create. The possibilities are endless.
I love it. Listeners, we want to hear your outrageous Krispy Kreme predictions. Head over to our social media and share your thoughts. What crazy partnerships or products do you envision for the future?
Ooh, yeah, let us know. And hey, maybe they'll even partner with, Elon Musk and deliver donuts to Mars.
Now that would be something. But remember, folks, this is all in good fun. This is not financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions.
Absolutely. We're just here to spark your imagination and get you thinking about these companies in a new way.
Exactly. So before we sign off, I wanted to touch on one more thing that really stood out to me about Krispy Kreme's strategy, their delivered fresh daily network.
Yeah, that's a smart move. It's not just about opening more stores. It's about finding creative ways to get those donuts into the hands of more customers.
Exactly. Like, imagine you're at Target or Walmart. You're already doing your shopping. And suddenly, there's a Krispy Kreme kiosk right in front of you. It's like they're making those impulse buys irresistible.
It's a win-win for both Krispy Kreme and their retail partners. You know, Krispy Kreme gets more visibility and reaches a wider audience, and the retailers benefit from those impulse purchases.
It's all about convenience
Yeah.
and tapping into that treat-yourself mentality. You've done your shopping. You deserve a little reward.
Absolutely. And it's not just about physical locations either. They're also expanding their digital presence and delivery options, online ordering, delivery apps. They're making it so easy to get your Krispy Kreme fix.
It's smart. They're adapting to the changing consumer landscape and meeting people where they are, so to speak.
Exactly. Convenience is king these days.
Now, before we get to our This Is Not Financial Advice segment, I wanted to circle back to something we discussed earlier. Their decision to focus their marketing efforts on the original glazed donut.
Right? Back to basics. With all those fancy flavors out there, why focus on the OG?
Well, sometimes the classics are just the best. The original glazed is their flagship product, is what they're known for. It's timeless, it's nostalgic, it appeals to everyone.
And let's be honest, it's delicious.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to introduce new customers to the brand. As they expand into new markets, it's like, here's the OG Krispy Kreme experience. You're going to love it.
It's simple, it's comforting, and it works. But they're not just relying on nostalgia either. They're also getting creative with their promotions and deals.
Yeah, they're making sure the original glazed is front and center. And let's not forget their commitment to internal improvements. We talked about their focus on building a strong performance-based culture, investing in their employees, creating a positive work environment.
It's great to see a company that values its employees and recognizes that their well-being is crucial to their success.
Absolutely. It's a holistic approach. And they're also committed to making a positive impact on the world, with their sustainability efforts and community involvement.
It's clear that Krispy Kreme is not just about donuts. They're about building a sustainable and ethical business. And that's something we can all get behind.
Absolutely. So are we ready for the grand finale, our signature This Is Not Financial Advice segment?
I think we are. Remember, folks, this is purely for entertainment purposes. We're just having some fun and letting our imaginations run wild.
All right, so based on everything we've learned about Krispy Kreme today, what's your outrageous but plausible trade idea?
Okay, here it is. I predict that Krispy Kreme will partner with a major airline to offer complimentary original glazed donuts on all flights.
Whoa, Krispy Kreme in the air. That's a bold move.
Think about it. Warm, melt-in-your-mouth donuts at 30,000 feet. You would revolutionize airline food.
It would definitely make those long flights more enjoyable. Imagine the marketing campaigns fly high on Krispy Kreme, reach new heights of deliciousness.
I love it. It's a win-win for everyone. Krispy Kreme gets massive brand exposure, the airline gets happier customers, and passengers get a delicious treat. I think you're onto something there. All right, listeners, we want to hear from you. What are your outrageous but plausible Krispy Kreme predictions? Hit us up on social media and let us know. And that concludes our deep dive into Krispy Kreme's Q4 2024 earnings call. Thanks for joining us.
We'll be back next week with another exciting earnings call breakdown. Until then, stay sweet.